Hey guys, it is Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful layouts from start to finish with easy to follow guides. So just give me 1 second here. I'm just going to share this over on my classroom and we can get started. So I'm going to add myself up here for a second just while I talk. So I don't know who remembers, but okay, I just got to turn that a little bit. When I'm working over here, then I turn my camera that way, but when I'm over here, then you're like way off to the side. So, I should maybe just open this up so I can catch some comments if there are any, because I was missing them yesterday. It's sometimes hard to get used to looking way behind me. I'll just push in my chair so I don't trip over myself. Okay. So this was the original design. So I made this fun layout with just cardstock, right? So, just cardstock, some inks, some glitter paper, some fun photographs. You gotta love a good Snapchat photo for sure. Okay, just 1 sec here. I'm just not sure if I click on this if I'm going to. Hello. Okay, so this was the starting point of this little inspiration. So just hang with me for a second because I'm just trying to show you where today's card came from. So I started with this layout and then I turned it into this fun slimline card, which I absolutely love this version of this card. So we're going to kind of recreate a similar card to this, but with much more subtle colors. So these are like those wow pop kind of colors. And we're going to go with the subtler colors of Lovely today. So then, I'm not sure if you remember or not, but then I challenged myself to turn that single page and card. I'm going to just put you down on my desk so I can kind of spread this right out. Let me just maybe lift up this camera just a little bit too so I can get the whole thing in view. There we go. Now that I figured out the whole camera thing with my new computer, we're all good. Okay, so then I challenged myself to change it into a 2-page layout, which I love, by the way. So this features the stars and sparklers. I think we're going to have to definitely do another version of this now that we have a new idea book. And I don't know if you remember, but there's this cute little booklet over here that took part of the Cricut collection from the stars and sparklers. And I turned it into a little bit of extra journaling space, and I have a photograph that I'm going to add in here. So this was my mom's milestone birthday during the pandemic, so we all stood out on the sidewalk and sang to her happy birthday, and it was a total surprise. So this was fun. So for sure, I think we're going to have to recreate this again. Oh, I might have an idea. Okay, stay tuned. It won't be this week because I already have my stuff cut out and ready to go for my layout this week, which is going to be on Friday. I'm just going to grab my card back because this is the inspiration we are working from. So I thought we would take these super bold colors and turn them into something more subtle. So I've grabbed some scraps from Lovely. And instead of cardstock, we're going to go with pattern paper. So now I'm going to zoom you down just a little bit more onto my desk. Okay, so excuse me. So I grabbed like little tiny scraps of Lovely. So I thought we'd go with like that more pastel-y look. I want to go the complete opposite of this card, right? But we're going to stay with the slimline, the same concept of the card, but we're going to switch out a pile of things. So I grabbed this stamp set. So this is Miles from the Garden. We're going to use that. Like I said, I've got some scraps from Lovely. I have grabbed, so I have the thin cut, Thanks, which is awesome. Who doesn't need thank you cards, right? So I think that probably my most used cards, I'm just going to make myself a little bit bigger so I can actually see myself up here in the corner too. I think that my most used cards for sure are thank you and birthday cards. So I always like to have a really good stash of those. So we are going to make a thank you card. And it actually ties in really well with this stamp set because you could use all of these sentiments on the inside. So you could say thanks, you brighten my day, thanks, you make me smile, right? Thanks, hello friend, right? You could use any of these sentiments on the inside. So, like I said, so I was super excited. I love the slimline. They're just nice for a little bit, something a little bit different. If you have like a little bit, it gives you a little bit more of a different aspect ratio to play with. So it's just a little bit fun. Okay, so we're going to change some things up and we're going to leave some things the same because you know that's what I'm all about. So, like I said, I have just the card base, right? So these are in our product line with envelopes. Then this is actually, I've created it on a white daisy base. We're not going to do that today. We're going to actually create it on a ballerina base. And I'm going to use the light side of ballerina, I think. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my letters together. So my go-to glue is always pretty much liquid glass. So look how good I was to keep these things. See, I didn't glue them together and I didn't lose any pieces. So that's pretty good for me. I have a tendency, if I'm not careful, to lose the parts and pieces. I'm just going to grab a Versamat here. So if we end up with glue on something, it's just on my Versamat and not on my desk. Not that I don't already have glue on my desk, but let's just try and reduce it. Okay, so also I have so many lights on because it's a little bit gray here again today. But it kind of washes out my surface, just so you know. We've had super bad forest fires, and so the sky is really hazy. It's kind of eerie. So, and you can smell it too. So, these, I love this little thin cut with, and I love the fact that it's got like this solid piece to glue the individual letters on. Obviously too, if you don't want to use this, you could totally cut something out in Cricut. Maybe I'll have to do that as a version, and we'll do like a birthday version. Make something that says like happy birthday or something in Cricut, similar design to the way that the thin cuts work. But I love the fact that we have thin cuts for so many things, especially something like this, right? Where you could get a lot of use out of the sentiment, and it fits on both size cards. It doesn't have to be a slimline card. It fits on a regular card front. I'm pretty sure on here I've done another card with this thin cut. So like I said, the base, we're going to build it on ballerina. And I have just cut the ballerina 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card base. And then, so for this thin cut, I've used mink and bluebell, which I know everybody is like so freaked out because bluebell is the color of the year for this year. And I have to say it's been an awesome color of the year. So I am sad to see it go. It is not around much longer, so make sure to stock up on all things bluebell. It just kind of went with everything this year, I feel. So when you have a really good color of the year, it makes it a hard act to live up to, right? So okay, so now I'm going to do the N. We are getting there. So it'll go really quickly actually once I have this glued together. I didn't want to do everything beforehand. I did do some stamping and I've stamped too much. We're just going to have to play with it. Because I didn't want to create the whole thing beforehand. So, and I don't think we're going to pop this up on 3D foam tape because the way I'm going to create the background of the card, we're going to pop that up just like I did in the original one. If you're looking for any of the, all of those things I showed at the beginning were live classes, so all of the videos are on here if you want to look back. If you ever have a hard time finding videos here, because I do know that sometimes it's not the easiest to find videos on Facebook. I do always share them over onto my YouTube channel, and sometimes it's a little bit easier to scroll on YouTube. So I've just got to make sure I'm putting my S in the right direction here, because it's just the videos, right? It's nothing else. So I know this is super hard to see the difference, but this is ballerina. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pull my inspiration back into the screen there. So here we go. So like I said, this is a little bit smaller. So this is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4, okay? And then these little pieces are all this one width, which is 2.5, or height, sorry, and then different widths because I wanted them not to all be the same because we're playing with a rectangle, right? So I wanted them to be slightly different widths. So like I said, this is the perfect way to use up your scraps. So I just kind of picked out of my bag some of the papers that coordinated together, and I knew I wanted the little hearts on the card because I thought that went perfect with the thanks. So it's funny because I think too, you'll see both my projects this week feature Lovely, and that's also going to be going too, right? So this is a good time to remind you, if you need little bits and pieces, like you need another paper pack or you want a stamp set that coordinates with it or whatever, this is a good time to grab a few things before it's gone. Okay, so this is it has a little ballerina stripe. I'm sure you can't see it on camera, but it has a little ballerina stripe. And because this is ballerina, I'm going to flip it around so on the outside, it's not the same color as the background, so it doesn't completely blend in. Okay, so I've got my little checks there, and then I thought we would add some glitter here. So I just cut a 1/4 inch strip of Bluebell glitter paper. Now lots of this is going to get covered up, but I thought it would just be pretty peeking out from underneath. So I think actually I'm going to glue this down too. So I'm going to glue it down and just set this aside for a second, and I'll show you the other things that I have cut out, stamped and cut out while this dries. Okay, so also the advantage about adding, sorry I forgot my head right in the way there, this little strip is if your pieces aren't perfectly lined up, this is still going to cover it and hide it, right? So if you were even slightly off. Okay, so we're just going to set this here to dry for a second, and then I will trim it. So this is, I just cut a full length. So this is kind of what we've got going on here. Okay, so far. So then, like I said, I grabbed this stamp set, the Smiles from the Garden, and I picked coordinating cardstock colors because I did the pattern papers here. So now I've got some cardstock colors. So this is, you can tell, well, I don't know if you could tell, but it's the light side of Ballerina. So when I stamped the butterfly, I used the true side. And then I just did some stamping of some of the flowers in the same color. So this is Bluebell. So I stamped Bluebell on Bluebell paper, but the reverse side, so the lighter side. And then I did Canary, same thing. It's the light side of Canary with Canary ink. And then I have some of the little flowers from that same set, same 2 colors. And then I did a few branches with sage. I need to move my keyboard out of the way or I'm gonna touch it. So I did sage little branches with the sage leaves, and I love the fact that everything is just kind of subtle because this one's so bright, right? So I wanted something completely different. So we're going subtle. So I don't, and I have not configured this at all, but this is just kind of the thought we're going with. Okay, so this is going to be dry enough. We're going to trim off our extra here. So if you turn it over, you can see the edge super clearly. Okay, so then I think I want to include the mink twine because we all know I love twine. So I'm going to add the twine to the card. And that's why I did the smaller panel to start off with, so that I could add the twine. I could pop it up on 3D foam tape, and it just adds one more dimension and texture to the card. So I'm not sure how much twine we need, but I'm just gonna, it's kinked, right? So I'm just holding it with my finger to my bone folder, and it'll just pull some of the kinks out. So I'm going to wrap it around this piece a few times. And I did not have enough, but that's okay. Okay, so I just want to take the kinks out of the part that's going to be on the front. Okay. So I've wrapped it around 3 times. I've done that exactly the same. So I'm just going to tie it up, and then I can adjust it to where I want it on the card. So I'm thinking I'm going to put it over here because that's the end. I'm going to add the thanks. So like I said, I have a layout I'm going to do on Friday that also features the lovely. So the pictures are printed and everything is ready to go. It's not, it's just roughed in, we'll say that. All my lives are kind of just, most of the time it's just roughed in and then we see what happens. Okay, so I'm just gonna see if this is good for placement with my things here. Okay, so it's all tied. So if you want to shift it, I can easily shift it by pulling everything off because I know it's the right size already. And then, good morning. And then you can just adjust it. Like I knew I wanted it like way farther over, so it's just easier for me to take it right off and adjust it than trying to shimmy it down the card. Because it's already preset to the right. Oh, I might just move this right down. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm taking it right off the pattern paper and I'm going to put it down here on the cardstock, I think. Yeah. Okay, yes. So now I just need to be careful about adding my thanks here. So I am going to put my thanks on thin 3D foam tape. I'll add it to the top and the bottom. And then I will put 3D foam tape on the back. Okay. And then we're going to build the card. So I'm just going to make sure that this is kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, yep. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a thin 3D foam tape out of my little bucket here. Oh, there it is. So I just want it along the bottom and some at the top so it'll sit flat over top of the twine nicely. So, because the middle is going to be over top of the twine, I'm just cutting some sections for the top and the bottom. This would be a good time to use dots, but I do not have an open package on my desk. I know that for sure. So we are going to just cut this up. So I thought that I would use Lovely this week, like I said, as a reminder that if you still have it in your stash, you can use it up. Or if you just need a few more ideas on how to use it, these might be some good ones. Okay, so let's see how we're doing here. Perfect. I'm just going to add some on the top here and then I think we're good. I just got to put the thanks on and then I'm going to adhere my card front to the base and we will fill in the rest. Okay. And I don't think We're not going to go uber crazy with a ton of flowers. So I've also grabbed bluebell sequins, and I think we're going to use that as our decoration, like our sparkle. So like how I have the dots, but we're going to use the sequins instead. And I do have my stickles too. So we might use some stickles. So I grabbed, oh, I need to be gentle. Because you know when foam tape sticks to you, it is stuck. So you need to be careful not to rip too quickly. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to add some 3D foam tape to the back, and that will allow it so that this doesn't warp the front of the card. So I have some rogue sequins going on. So obviously if you don't put the twine on, you could just add the card front to the card base flat. So I am using thick here, but you could also use thin. It doesn't have to be thick to not make the twine buckle. Thin is enough, but I have more thick on my desk right at the moment. So, okay. So now we have our card base. So you can see the little white edge just kind of makes it come together nicely. We're going to pull that off in a second, but I'm going to add this down first. Hey, everybody jumping on. So I showed at the beginning the inspiration of where this card came from. So it started actually as a layout, and then I turned it into a card, and then I also turned it into a 2-page layout. So this has been a fun little series. Okay, so I've trimmed it. I'm going to pull the ends out so they're frayed, just to give the twine a little bit of texture. So I like the fact that the mink twine just kind of blends in there nicely, but it is like another texture. So I'm just using my piercing tool and pulling them out. So you can also like pull them apart and use them for stitching if you wanted to, right? So, okay, so now we just need to create a little cluster here. And I really feel like I want that there, but I'm not sure that's going to stay there. So I'm just going to curl the flowers, like just bending them just slightly with my bone folder, just add a little bit more dimension. And actually, I think, here we go. Okay, and I know I want that. So I'm going to put, I think, the canary closer to the bluebell. And a bluebell flower down here. So like I said, I'm just bending them ever so slightly just to give them a little bit more dimension. Okay, and nothing is glued down yet. All of a sudden, it's not going to last very long, but all of a sudden I'm just going to sit down for a second here because it never lasts very long. Okay, so then I've got these little tiny ones. And so we're gonna go like this, I think. There we go. Okay, so I obviously have lots of extra, and we might add some more in here as we go. But so I'm just kind of making piles, and then I'm going to attach everything down. Okay. Okay, so now there we go. Okay. So I have diamond stickles, and we'll do that last. And I've got my bluebell sequins. Okay, so I'm going to glue some stuff down. And because there's twine under here, I think I'm going to adhere these with, so what's right on top of the twine, I'm actually going to use thin 3D foam tape, because then I know it's going to stick to something. And I'm going to tuck that in after. So I'm just adding the thin 3D foam tape to my flower. Okay, and then I will tuck this underneath. And I think we're going to use glue dots here. And I'm still having a hard time getting used to glue dots being on the other side. So I typically will cut off a pile and work with that. Plus, I know I've got to use them. I'm going to use them for the sequins, so a strip is not bad. So I'm going to actually add a glue dot on the top and the bottom. And then when I push this in, I'll push it into the flower, and then I know it's going to be stuck. Let's just move some stuff out of my way there. Okay. So I'm going to go under here, and because once I start to push down on my glue dot, it's not gonna move very much at all. So I'm using it to kind of anchor this to the thanks, so it all looks like it's kind of connected. There we go. Okay, so that's very stuck down. So now I'm going to use some more 3D foam tape there. Up here, and I'm just kind of connecting them. And then same thing, I'll add a glue dot onto this one. And add it down to my card front. So I'm just kind of tucking it in. And then this one I can add flat and just kind of scooch it under. And I'm going to add a little yellow pop kind of just up here. Okay, and then I can add this one down over here, just kind of tucking it. Okay, and then I'm going to add my butterfly. So I think I'm going to add it also with 3D foam tape. And then we will add some sequins and finish with a little bit of stickles. So that's how it's looking. Okay, so now I can move some stuff out of my way here. So same thing with, ooh, I don't know why I autofocused there. But the sequins, I'm going to add them with glue dots because that's my favorite way to add sequins. And you could, actually think I just stuck a glue dot to the edge of my glasses, so I'm going to have to fix that later. I think it was on my finger, which is so funny. Okay, so I just dumped out some of the sequins into the lid of my container so I could pick out ones that I want. So in the bluebell mixture, there's an iridescent, there's white, there's hearts, then there's bluebell, and there's like ones that are like a true bluebell, and then more shiny. So I'm just grabbing a variety. And if I could get a variety of sizes, that's also good. Oh, and that's all the glue dots I have on there. Okay, I'm just going to put that here for a second. Okay. So I'm just kind of tucking them in for a little bit more sparkle. There we go. Yeah, I'm not really sure about this. Thank you. I'm not really sure about the upside down glue dots. I'm having a super hard time. I think because they were the other way for so long, I'm having a super hard time getting used to it. Because I used to just put them on the outside of my roll, like the sequins, and then just pull them off as I needed them. But it's taken me a while to get used to, that's for sure. Okay, I want, there we go, a smaller one, iridescent, to go over here. I did not get a good little variety here when I dumped sizes. I've got lots of colors, but they're all kind of the same size. Here, we'll do one of these. And because I like odd numbers, I'm going to go with one more. And it'll be this one because it's on my tweezers. Okay. So now, there we go. So to finish it off, I'm just going to add a little bit of stickles. So I grabbed diamond stickles because I don't because I've got the glitter from the bluebell glitter paper and then the sequins. I don't necessarily really want like glitter. I just kind of wanted a little bit of sparkle in a few spots. So this will look different when it dries, but I'm just going to, I'll add it on now, and then I will take some pictures because it will level itself out and just kind of be a little sparkle in some spots, not really like, because right now it looks like, sorry, the light is super bright, but it looks like it's like a blob, but it will dry and it will flatten out and be just kind of pretty. So I'm just adding it to the little dots on the butterfly here too. And like I said, I'll take some pictures and I'll add them here once it's dry. So the stickles are super fun. I love to play with the stickles. So I could add some to these flowers if I wanted to brighten some of the little spots up of them. So let's just see here. Let's just try it on. So you could take even different colors like the silver and add sparkle to the flower. So this will dry flat and it just kind of gives it just a little bit. So I've not drawn like right on the lines. I'm just kind of doing just kind of like a little bit of random sparkle and a very thin coat just in the middle of my flowers just to define them, because it is tone on tone and you're not going to necessarily see the details on the camera, but you will see them once I photograph it. So, but this, like this, is a fun, see, I told you it wouldn't last very long. Fun technique to play with, especially when you're using like a tone on tone kind of idea, right? So that's how the card turned out. I'll just add, so I'll show you. We'll pick a few different colors here. So I really like to use diamond. Okay, just ignore that loud noise. It's fine. I'll organize them all after. So I have a little shelf and they all just fell out. It's okay. So you could use the icicle or silver would be fun to use with this same thing. So here is, actually maybe I'll do the silver because I don't have any more bluebells. So I'll just show you the difference between the diamond versus adding silver. So if I wanted to add more detail to the flowers, I'm just touching, so there's little tiny dots in the middle of that flower. So I just literally touched it down to add more sparkle to it. And then I'm just going to pick some of the lines and run a thin little line to accent them. And then when it dries flat. It looks like it's stuck up like puffy paint almost right now, but it will dry flat and then just be a nice little accent. So you can see the difference. I scared the dogs when all the stickles fell off the shelf. I knew it was too close to the edge. So these will just dry and they'll dry flat. And then it's just kind of like a little bit of a sparkle. So here's the silver. And then this is the diamond. And I know on camera it doesn't look very different, but they do, because one will dry clear and the other is more like a silver accent. Okay, so there we go. So I think it turned out very pretty. And like I said, once I take some photos of it, once it's dry, it'll be a little bit easier to see the accents. So let me just move some stuff out of the way here. Anything that's wet, because you guys all know that I will either put my freshly made card in it or myself. Thank you, Lynn. Sometimes it's just about the little things too, right? So, and I hadn't worked with Lovely in quite a while, so I thought it was time to revisit it again. So like I said, I also do have a layout that I'm going to do on Friday with Lovely. So funny that the original inspiration, the way it all started, was a scrapbooking page. You guys, it's a very colorful little stickle accident behind me right now. So this was the original layout that I started with, like I showed at the beginning. And this is all just colored cardstock, the silver foil paper, and some, I think this is ballerina glitter paper. And then I embossed it. We had fun with ink. And I love the way this turned out. And then I created this card, and this I embossed. I know I can hardly wait, you guys, to see some of the new stuff that we're going to get, because as you remember, the annual is like winding down. I'm having a hard time believing that. It's kind of crazy. So then I created a double page spread after the single page spread, and this was super fun. I think I need to do that again for sure. So yeah, so then we got the card and then the fun card that we did today. On this card, so that's the Mother's Day stamp. So it was from Mums Are the Best. Mums Are, I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. It's from Mother's Day. And so I did, I heat embossed it with white embossing powder, and then we played with a fun, I didn't drop it in anything wet. Yeah, and a fun ink technique. So you know what this it reminds me of, like batik fabric. That's totally what this technique reminds me of. So like I said, if you're looking for any of the videos, they all are here, but it's probably, yes, that's why, because it was the Mother's Day stamp set. This one. But I will say, so one of the other stamp sets that I did consider today was to do this one. So this is like a very similar size, right? If you wanted to try this technique with a different flower. So you could do the same thing with these 4 flowers in here, and that's Doodle Florals. It would be very similar. But yes, that's what it was from. Okay, so that's what I've got for you guys today. And check back on Friday for the layout. It's a good one. And like I said, I kind of wanted to revisit Lovely a few more times before it was gone. So, but I don't know actually how many more times we'll get to it. But so for sure, there's a layout with Lovely on Friday. And then We will have Christmas in July, like I said, coming up. I think I said that on yesterday, or was it yesterday's video? Because my white pines arrived. So for sure I will have, because you have to have a white Christmas. I don't want a white Christmas in July. I will do Christmas in July, but I don't want a white Christmas in July. Guys, we get enough winter here. I don't need a white July. So I'm not sure if it'll be next week or the week after, but for sure we're going to do a Christmas in July week where we'll do a layout and a card for sure. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Once I'm going to let this dry for a little while so it flattens out, and then I will take some pictures and I'll post them with the in addition to the pictures of that card also. Okay, so that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you have a great Wednesday, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.